The Arymi Armor Kit. How's it going, everybody? This is Andy with AspenValleyVapes.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Arymi Armor Kit. It is an internal battery mod and it does come with a tank as well. Like always, we're going to run through the basics real quick, then we're going to dive in, take a close-up look, see what it comes with, show you a little bit about this mod and some of the features, then we'll bring it back up top, have a vape on it, and then talk about some pros and cons. Starting off with the basics though, it is an internal battery mod. You do not have the ability to replace your battery. It is charged via micro USB, and the battery inside of here is a 2600 milliamp hour battery. The minimum resistance on the Armor mod is 0.15 ohms, and there is only one button on this mod. There's no OLED display to change your settings or anything like that. There's just one button. It is the fire button, and then you have your LED indicator down here to indicate your battery life, but we'll take a better look at that in the close-up here in a second. The tank that comes with this Armor kit is the Arymi Armor tank, and it uses that same CHC style coil as the Arymi Argo kit that we took a look at earlier. If you want to check that out, there'll be a link popping up on the screen up there. And that coil system is where the drip tip is actually attached to the coil, so when you dispose of your coil, you're going to dispose of the drip tip as well, and there is a mouth-to-lung coil and a direct lung coil. This kit does come with the direct lung coil head, which has the wider airflow compared to the mouth to lung, which has a more restricted airflow. On that note though, there is no adjustable airflow on the Armor tank since it is built into the drip tip. The Armor tank does have a 3 mil e-liquid capacity and it is top filling. The CHC coil that comes pre-installed in this kit is a 0.3 ohm coil. Let's go ahead and have a quick vape and then we'll dive in, take a close-up look, see what it comes with, and bring it back up top. Alright, let's dive in and take a close-up look. Alrighty, here we have the packaging on the Arymi Armor kit. Flip it on over, you'll get the little scratch-off code for verification there. You'll see what this kit comes with: the tank, the box, the 0.3 ohms coil, and the USB cable manual. Open on up here, you'll have the Armor mod right here, the Armor tank. Here you will have a micro USB cable. This is to charge your device. And then you'll get a very simple little manual here. You can see that the 0.3 ohm coil was not the initial coil choice option. And I did peel that sticker off on the back. I wanted to see what the original option was, and it looks like a 0.5 ohm coil was originally going to come with this kit, but they did switch it up. That's at least good to know that they are testing things and they found out that the 0.3 ohm coil was better for this style. This little diagram here just shows you about filling it, replacing your coil. It gives you a little diagram of the mod in the bottom left corner. Very straightforward because there's only a fire button, the LED indicator, and the micro USB port. Does have some standard operation instructions there, nothing out of the norm. We're going to cover that here though in a second because there's really only two things you need to know. Alright, here we have the Arymi Armor starter kit up close. Here you do have your fire button with the Arymi logo on it. This is the battery level indicator right here. You'll see those LED lights pop up when I hit the fire button. That's going to let you know how much battery life you do have. And then you have your micro USB charge port right here, not located on the bottom, so you can sit the mod down while it's charging and you can vape it while it's charging. From the looks of this side profile, it pretty much does look like they have a single 18650 in there. I think if you did pop this bottom screw off there and slid this off, I think you would find a single 18650 in there. Don't quote me on that though. You do have some venting holes right here on the side of the mod. Up on top here you have this little feature thing. It's definitely like a design feature, but it's also going to help if you drop your mod. It's going to act as sort of a shield. Maybe that's where the Armor comes from. Because instead of hitting direct concrete, say if it lands on a corner, it's going to hit this instead of hitting direct glass. If you hit it up on top, that's not going to really protect it. But for most drops, if it falls on its side, there's going to be that additional little barrier there, which is sort of neat. It gives it a nice little design and it also adds some functionality to the mod as well. If you don't like it on there, you do have the ability to take it off. You can see that. You can just slide it on off like so. Here's the actual Armor tank, and you can see what I was talking about earlier. The airflow is actually drilled into the side of the drip tip, and the drip tip is a portion of the coil, so you dispose of this whole section when you do replace your coil. And here you can see the CHC coil. This is the 0.3 ohm one. We did cover these coils in the Arymi Argo Stealth starter kit. It does use that same system, and we also were able to take a look at the mouth-to-lung version in that video as well, which has much smaller airflow and a higher resistance coil. This is definitely not the most eco-friendly option out there since you're disposing of extra materials. It's not really needed, but it is a nice feature since you don't get your fingers covered in e-liquid. You just pop out this top portion. But like I did say, it's definitely leaving a bigger footprint than a lot of the other coils out there, especially like that new Vaporesso tank that uses that new little cartridge system where you just pop in the coil into a shell. You can see here when you do need to fill up your tank, you can easily just pop out that drip tip, fill her on up, slide your coil back in, screw it on, and you're ready to go. Like I said earlier, this tank does hold 3 mils of e-liquid, and it is a 22 millimeter diameter tank, and you will not be able to use anything larger than a 22 millimeter on this mod. And some 22 millimeters, they might not actually even fit depending if they have like a wider diameter. Like, you know, on the TFV8, how it has a smaller base, then it expands on the tank portion. If there's a tank like that, it might not fit on here. Like I said earlier though, if you have a specific question about a tank fitting on here, please let me know down in the comments, and if I do have one lying around, I'll be happy to let you know if it does fit on here nice and flush. Give you guys a quick size comparison here. You can see it next to the Kangertech Cupty, which is an all-in-one, and this side-by-side style sort of emulates that all-in-one style since you have your tank sitting right here, the little side-by-side. You can see that the Arymi Armor kit is a tad bit smaller. They both have great form factors though, both made by Kangertech. But yeah, I just figured I would show you guys a little side comparison there to this all-in-one system. Pretty much going to wrap it up on the close-up for this guy. If I did miss anything or if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. For now, let's bring it back up top, have a vape on it, talk about some pros and cons. Now that we've got that close-up out of the way, let's go ahead and have a vape on it. Right now, I've got the 0.3 ohm coil in here, which is the direct lung coil with the larger airflow slots, and I've got some Moku Uatsu white gummy bear e-liquid inside of the tank. So as you can see from that, the vapor production is very good. The flavor is nice and smooth. I do really like these CHC coils. I do think they're an improvement over the SSOCC coils and the CLOCC coils. Not that those coils were terrible or anything, but I do think it is an improvement. I think the airflow on the mouth to lung style coil, this kit sadly does not come with one of those, but I think the airflow on that might be a little bit too tight. That's all going to come down to personal preference though. That being said though, let's get on to the pros and cons. My first con is going to be the same that I had on the Arymi Argo kit, that little stealthy device that I covered last week. CHC coils on here, since the drip tip, like you guys saw in the close-up, has the airflow attached to it, sometimes you accidentally cover up that airflow. Like I said in that Argo video though, once you do sort of figure it out after you use it for probably about a couple hours or so, you're going to realize where those airflow slots are and you'll learn to avoid them just automatically. But it can be a little bit of a pain in the beginning if you're accidentally covering up those airflow slots and you're getting a super tight draw. So that is something I'm going to mention in here. Since there is no adjustable airflow on the tank, the only airflow is on the coil head drip tip itself. My second con is going to be the fact that you're going to be limited to 22mm tanks on here, and some 22mm tanks may not fit. If you have a specific question on a tank that might fit on here, let me know down in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you. If I do have one of those tanks lying around, I'll try it out on here and let you know if it does fit. I don't know if there's really that much that Arymi could have done since the battery is right here and your tank sits right here, but that is going to be a con. That's something you want to know going into it. I know a lot of the more popular tanks these days might be a little bit bigger than your standard 22mm tank, so that is something you want to take note of. If you do just want to go ahead and stick with the Armor tank, obviously you're good to go. You can put that on there without a problem and use it. And there's nothing wrong with this tank. It's a great overall tank. The flavor is good and the vapor is good. It's got a 3 mil capacity, so it's right in the middle of the pack there. It's not too little and it's not over the top. It's got a nice profile, very reminiscent of the Kanger sub tank and the Kanger top tank, the way that it has that interior chamber in there. And the top tank and the sub tank were two extremely popular tanks. The sub tank was one of the original sub-ohm tanks on the market. I believe it was the second or third after the Aspire Atlantis when they first started coming out with sub-ohm tanks. But it is a good overall mod. On to the pros. The battery life on here, 2600 milliamp hour battery. So if you like the style of the Argo, it's sort of that same style here. It's not an all-in-one since it does have a replaceable tank, but it's got a bigger battery life. So if you're looking for still a stealthy sort of setup here on the go, but you want a larger battery than like on that Arymi Argo kit, this would definitely be worth checking out. It's got a 2600 milliamp hour battery. Since it is a side-by-side, it keeps that lower profiles like the all-in-one kits, like the Play-Doh, the Kneebox, the Cupty, that same style right here. If you don't like fussing with wattage, temperature control, all of that stuff, this is definitely a device to check out because there is no screen to fuss with, just your LED indicator here. The output is going to be based on the battery life and the resistance of the coil that you have on there. It is still a regulated mod, and overall it's definitely a good internal battery mod. I don't know if I would put it up there in the top 3. I think Inikin has some better ones out, but it's definitely up there. The price point is very reasonable for a whole kit. You get the mod, you get the tank. You don't need to buy an external battery. You don't need to buy an external battery charger. You get everything you need. Just pop in your favorite e-liquid, wait a couple minutes, and you're ready to go. Let's go ahead and have another quick vape on it. That is pretty much going to wrap up this video though. If you guys have any questions on the Armor kit or any vaping related questions in general, please leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to get back to you. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and vape on.